Hello and welcome to College Success. My name is Matthew Poole, and today we're going over Chapter 7, Thinking. All of the following information is directly from OpenStax and their free resources online. I will include a link to their textbook for college success in the description below. Thank you to OpenStax. Let's begin. Figure 7.1. Games like basketball require many types and levels of thinking. Players and coaches must analyze their opponent's offense and defense, solve problems related to opposing players' skills and their own team's weaknesses, and constantly create through split-second decision making. Here are the sections we'll go over today. 7.1, what thinking means. 7.2, creative thinking. 7.3, analytical thinking. 7.4, critical thinking. 7.5, problem solving. 7.6, metacognition. And 7.7, information literacy. Here are some questions to consider. How do you feel about the ways you think? Number 1, I understand how to approach problem solving. Number 2, I have creative potential. Number 3, I often think about how I'm learning. Number 4, I know how to find and evaluate valid information. We'll be going over the following: describing thinking as a process and the reasons it is important. Discuss the importance of creative thinking and ways of generating original ideas. We'll define analytical thinking, its component parts and outcomes, articulate the process and importance of critical thinking, describe the best approaches to problem solving, define metacognition, and describe ways to become thoughtful about your thinking, and define information literacy for college students. 7.1. What thinking means. If you're going to do anything as much as you think, you might just as well learn about it and hone this skill. Get connected. Here are some examples of mind puzzles and thinking games. We've got Peek, Elevate, and Chegg Prep. 7.2, creative thinking. How can you go about generating original ideas? What is the best way to approach working with unconventional ideas? Learning to be more in tune with your own version of creativity can help you think more clearly, resolve problems, and appreciate setbacks. Analysis question. In what ways could thinking creatively help you be a better student? Let me know in the comments. Creativity doesn't always present itself in the guise of a chart-topping musical hit or other artistic expression. Creativity is the highest level of thinking skills. Bloom's taxonomy, with figure 7.5, is an important learning theory used by psychologists, cognitive scientists, and educators to demonstrate levels of thinking. Many assessments and lessons you've seen during your schooling have likely been arranged with Bloom's in mind. Researchers recently revised it to place creativity, invention, at the highest level. So you can look at the old version to the left, evaluation is at the top, and then synthesis is down below, but they switched it to where the name is now creating and evaluating is up at the top at number 2. So that is the newer version of Bloom's. Here's another quote. Creating new out of old or new out of nothing is how we ended up with manned spaceflight, cell phones, the Constitution, and rap music. Continuing to support creativity in whatever form it takes will be how we cure cancer, establish peace, and manipulate the time-space continuum. Don't shortchange your own creativity. Generating original ideas. Famous quote from Mark Twain, there is no such thing as a new idea. Generating original ideas, figure 7.7. Denton Cooley, Stephanie Kwolek, Karen Johnson, and Hedy Lamarr, these individuals employed extensive creativity in the field of science and math, leading to significant discoveries and accomplishments. One way to enhance your creativity is to track your ideas. Some creative people design storyboards to visualize goals or projects using pictures from magazines. Working with unconventional ideas. Working with unconventional ideas can produce anxiety. People may not accept your non-traditional ideas. If your original creation were to require individuals to give up familiar ways of doing things, you can expect resistance. Because we've always done it that way is not a valid reason to not try a new approach. Another element of working with unconventional ideas is to pay attention to how you organize your thoughts. Organizing includes establishing a career goal to accomplish, outlining the steps toward the goal, and monitoring progress with specific deadlines. Do you set yourself up to be in the company of other creative thinkers? Creativity is contagious. 7.3 Analytical Thinking. How can you best establish component parts in thinking? How can you use analysis to improve efficiency? When we work out a problem or situation systematically, we call that analytical thinking. Characteristics of analytical thinking include setting up the parts, using information literacy, and verifying the validity of any sources you reference. Figure 7.9. Warehouse designers must think through complex problems and allow for a range of package sizes and shapes, even ones they haven't seen yet, to work within their systems. Establishing component parts. What are the component parts of a high-quality research paper? What tasks do you need to finish and how quickly to accomplish the overall goals? A partial list might include generating ideas, selecting a topic, researching, reviewing the available literature, outlining, drafting, and reviewing. What if you encounter setbacks in any of the steps? Do you have a contingency plan? In the construction industry, engineers called this flow and they deliberately build in extra time and money in case problems arise on the project. This allows them to avoid getting off schedule, for instance, if a severe storm makes access to the worksite impossible. Forging a revolution. Henry Ford, the early 20th century American auto inventor, used analytical thinking to revolutionize the way companies increase production by inventing the assembly line. Frederick W. Smith came up with the idea of a national overnight delivery service as a part of an assignment in his undergraduate economics class at Yale University. 7.4 Critical Thinking. How can determining the situation help you think critically? How do you present informed, unbiased thinking? And what is the difference between factual arguments and opinions? When you decide to make your lunch rather than just grabbing a bag of chips, you're thinking critically. You have to plan ahead, buy the food, prepare it, and arrange to and carry the lunch with you. You're constantly weighing options, consulting data, gathering opinions, making choices, and then evaluating those decisions, which is a general definition of critical thinking. Determining the problem. What problem are you solving? Critical thinking differs according to the subject you're thinking about. You can get started if you do the following. Firstly, question everything. Secondly, conduct legitimate research. Limit your assumptions. Recognize your own biases, as well as gather and weigh all options. You must recognize that changes will occur and may alter your conclusions now and in the future. You may eventually have to revisit an issue you effectively resolved previously and adapt to changing conditions. Knowing when to do that is another example of critical thinking. Informed flexibility, or knowing that parts of the plan may need to change. Defending against bias. Facts are verifiable. Opinions are believed without supporting evidence. Stating an opinion is just that. This will be an informed analysis with credible evidence to support the claim. Factual arguments versus opinions. A fact is a statement that is true and backed up with evidence. Facts can be verified through observation or research. An opinion is a statement someone holds to be true without supporting evidence. Opinions express beliefs, assumptions, perceptions, or judgments. 7.5 Problem solving. How can determining the best approach to solve a problem help you generate solutions? Why do thinkers create multiple solutions to problems? The most effective problem-solving approach includes some variation of the following steps. Determine the issues, recognize other perspectives, think of multiple possible results, research and evaluate the possibilities, select the best results, communicate your findings, and establish logical action items based on your analysis. determining the best approach. Problem solving can involve many different types of thinking. You may have to call on your creative, analytical, or critical thinking skills, or more frequently, a combination of several different types of thinking to solve a problem satisfactorily. Generating multiple solutions. Why do you think it is important to provide multiple solutions when you're going through the steps to solve problems? Typically, you'll end up only using one solution at a time, so why expend the extra energy to create alternatives? 7.6 Metacognition. How can you become more aware of your own thinking? And what is the benefit of thinkers using their thoughts deliberately? Becoming aware of your thought processes and using this awareness deliberately is a sign of mature thinking. Becoming aware of your thinking using thought deliberately includes planning, tracking, and assessing. 7.7 Information literacy. How do you go about verifying source validity, and why is this important? How do you use resources to improve your thinking? Where do you go to find print and online resources? What type of system best helps you to manage your resources? When conducting any type of thinking, you need to have a firm grasp on information literacy, or knowing how to access the sources you may need. Verifying source validity. When you write or declare based on sources should be correct and truthful. Reliable sources present current and honest information backed up with evidence you can check. Any source that essentially says you should believe this because I said so isn't a valid source for critical thinking, information literate individuals. Evaluating books, articles, and websites for validity presents different challenges. For books and scholarly articles in print or online, you can typically establish if the source is current and from a reputable publisher or organization with information on the copyright page or journal publication information. Figure 7.14. The most reliable sources of online information may be journals or related research-oriented websites, which include the author names, their credentials, and other data. However, unless they are peer-reviewed, meaning independent experts have read and verified the quality of the information, even credible-looking sites may be more opinion than fact-oriented. For a website, you should determine who owns this site. Is it a professional organization such as the American Medical Association? The About section of the site or in a copyright? Domain names can help you determine the purpose of the site, but you shouldn't rely solely on this website marker. Here is a table which will include a domain as well as the user. So let's break down, because a lot of us will see the .edus, the .coms, the .govs, but let's look a little bit further and establish what each means. A .edu is used by educational institutions, so for example, colleges, universities, school districts, are usually reliable sources of information, but individual members of these institutions may be able to create web pages on the site under the official domain that do not reflect the values of the school. .com/.biz, used by commercial or business groups, may be valid, but also may be used to sell products, services, or ideas. .gov is used by government agencies, and it's typically valid. .org, used by organizations such as nonprofit groups or religious entities, may present information slanted toward a specific denomination or cause. You'll need to conduct additional research to verify validity. .net, originally created for networks or groups of people working on the same problem. .net is still a viable option for non-commercial sites such as personal blogs or family websites. You'll need to conduct additional research to verify validity. And there are many other domains that exist, so research the validity of domain names outside of these most common ones. Creating a system for managing resources. You could have all the money, or time, or cars, or great ideas in the world, but that won't do you any good if you haven't also created a system for managing all your resources. Rethinking. Let's revisit the question you answered at the beginning of the chapter and consider one option you learned in this chapter that might have changed your answer to one of them. Let's go through the 4 to remind you. Firstly, I understand how to approach problem solving. I have creative potential. I often think about how I am learning, and I know how to evaluate and find valid information. This OpenStax ancillary resource is copyrighted Rice University under a CC by 4.0 or Attribution International License. It may be reproduced or modified, but must be attributed to OpenStax Rice University, and any changes must be noted. Thank you to OpenStax for providing this resource. All of the following was directly from their website and their instructor resources. We appreciate you, OpenStax, for all the work that you do. This will conclude Chapter 7 of College Success. I hope to see you in the next one for Chapter 8. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.